Have you ever found yourself questioning the purpose of adversities in your life? Imagine being swallowed by a giant fish and spending 3 days and 3 nights in its belly. It sounds surreal, but that's exactly what happened to Jonah. And what if I told you that this transformative experience can teach you the true meaning of resilience? Let's dive together into Jonah's story and discover how he learned to navigate the turbulent waters of difficulties and emerge stronger. Ready to uncover the lessons hidden in the belly of the great fish? Jonah was called by God for a mission in Nineveh, a city known for its wickedness. Instead of accepting the call, he chose to flee, boarding a ship bound for Tarshish, a route completely opposite. Jonah's decision to flee the divine plan symbolizes how often we avoid facing our own fears and responsibilities. Just like Jonah, who hasn't tried to escape an uncomfortable situation. However, Jonah's escape had unexpected consequences. A great storm arose at sea, threatening to sink the ship. The sailors, terrified, tried everything to save the vessel. Jonah, on the other hand, was sleeping in the hold, perhaps hoping the storm was just a coincidence. But deep down, he knew his disobedience had brought chaos upon those around him. The sailors, in despair, cast lots to find out the cause of the misfortune, and of course, the lot fell on Jonah. Questioned, he admitted he was fleeing from God. His confession is a clear example of how our actions can impact others. Jonah offered to be thrown into the sea, believing it would calm the storm. And indeed, as soon as he was cast into the waters, the tempest ceased immediately. Jonah's decision to sacrifice himself to save others shows a glimpse of his conscience. Even as he tried to escape his responsibility, he recognized his mistake and took an action that, to some extent, reflected a desire for redemption. Sometimes, it takes a great sacrifice to correct a mistake and find the right path. Finally, as Jonah was swallowed by a great fish, he found space to reflect. This moment of isolation, away from distractions, was crucial for him to understand the importance of his mission. Thus, he began to realize that fleeing from his duties would only lead him to even more challenging situations. In the belly of the fish, Jonah began the journey of understanding and acceptance of the purpose given to him. When the storm hit the ship, the sailors panicked. It was a desperate situation, much like we often feel in the face of life's storms. The raging sea represents the challenges and crises that arise unexpectedly, shaking our security and balance. At that moment, the sailors began throwing overboard everything that wasn't essential, trying to save the ship and their lives. Just like in Jonah's case, in life, we are often forced to let go of certain things, to leave the superfluous behind to survive the storms. The sailors, in their distress, also began to seek spiritual answers, each calling upon their own God. This reflects how, in moments of desperation, many seek a higher power, trying to find meaning or a solution to the chaos. Jonah, awakened from his deep sleep, was confronted by the sailors about his identity and the cause of the storm. In this moment of crisis, the truth came to light. Jonah confessed his flight from God and acknowledged that the storm was a direct consequence of his disobedience. This is a crucial point because it reveals that, often, the challenges we face result from our own actions. Jonah's honesty, in admitting his guilt, is an example of how the truth can be liberating, even amid chaos. The sailors, reluctant, followed Jonah's advice and threw him into the sea. The decision to cast him into the ocean, even with hesitation, represents the surrender to the unknown when all options are exhausted. And surprisingly, the sea calmed immediately after Jonah was cast. This event underlines an important lesson. Sometimes, difficult decisions are necessary to restore peace and balance. As Jonah sank into the waters, he was swallowed by a great fish. This event marks the transition from a phase of despair to a period of deep reflection. In the belly of the fish, Jonah faced the silence and darkness, a moment of pause that we all need to reevaluate our lives. Here, he began to understand that the storm was actually a wake-up call to awaken his conscience and realign with his purpose. Inside the belly of the great fish, Jonah found himself in complete darkness, a claustrophobic and terrifying place. This period symbolizes the moment we are forced to confront our fears and face our own vulnerability. There was nowhere to run, and he had to face his thoughts and feelings. The belly of the fish became a school of resilience, where the main lesson was the acceptance of one's destiny and the search for redemption. During the 3 days and 3 nights he spent there, Jonah had time to deeply reflect on his choices. Often, it is in the depths of our own challenges that we find the clarity needed to understand what truly matters. Jonah, surrounded by darkness and silence, began to recognize the grandeur of the divine plan and the smallness of his own selfish desires. This moment of introspection was crucial for his transformation. In the belly of the fish, the feeling of helplessness may have been overwhelming, but it also served as a catalyst for change. Jonah realized that, although he was in a desperate situation, he still had the possibility to reconnect with God and with his purpose. This recognition is an essential step in building resilience, for it is when we accept our limitations that we find the strength to overcome them. Jonah's school of resilience also taught the importance of faith. Even without knowing what awaited him, he began to pray, seeking a deeper connection with God. Amid adversity, he found comfort in spirituality, which helped him keep hope alive. This act of faith, even in extreme circumstances, highlights how trust in something greater can sustain us in the darkest moments. Finally, the time in the belly of the fish allowed Jonah to prepare for a new phase of his life. He emerged from this experience with a new perspective, ready to fulfill his mission with renewed determination. Similarly, all of us, when facing our own adversities, can emerge stronger and more prepared for future challenges. Thus, the belly of the fish, initially seen as a place of punishment, revealed itself as a true opportunity for rebirth and growth. While Jonah was in the belly of the great fish, he had a moment of deep reflection and transformation. This phase of his life teaches us that even in the most challenging circumstances, we can find new direction and renewed purpose. If you are also going through difficult times, remember that these moments can be opportunities for growth and change. Jonah, in his isolation, found the strength to rediscover his mission. If you are enjoying this journey of discoveries and want to continue learning about resilience and spiritual growth, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Divine Prosperity. Here, we always bring deep and inspiring reflections to help you face life's challenges. So, take the opportunity to like the video and share it with those who need a word of encouragement. After 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, Jonah was finally freed. The Bible recounts that the Lord commanded the fish to vomit Jonah onto dry land. This act of liberation marks the culmination of his transformative journey. Emerging from the depths of the sea, Jonah gained a new perspective on life. He understood that his actions had consequences and that it was essential to follow the divine call with sincerity and dedication. This experience of being trapped and then freed symbolizes the moments when we feel trapped in our own difficulties and how we can find a way out. When Jonah was freed, he not only received a second chance but also a renewed understanding of his mission. He knew he had to go to Nineveh, as God had commanded, and fulfill his task with a humble and obedient heart. This new outlook on life was a result of his experience of introspection and prayer. Upon arriving in Nineveh, Jonah proclaimed God's message with conviction. The city, known for its wickedness, received his preaching seriously, and its inhabitants repented of their evil ways. This unexpected response demonstrates the power of second chances. Even when we judge that people or situations are irredeemable, there is always a possibility of change and transformation. By following his calling, Jonah became an instrument of that change. Jonah's liberation also represents a spiritual rebirth. He emerged from the belly of the fish not just as a prophet, but as someone who truly understood the power of repentance and obedience. His experience teaches us that when we face and overcome our struggles, we come out stronger and more aware of our purpose. Every difficulty can be an opportunity for growth and a step toward a life more aligned with our values and beliefs. The story of Jonah, with all its twists and turns, offers valuable lessons that can be applied to our daily lives. First, it's important to recognize the importance of facing our challenges head-on rather than running away from them. Just as Jonah tried to avoid his mission and ended up facing even greater consequences, avoiding responsibilities or problems tends to complicate situations. The first step is to acknowledge what needs to be done and take action to resolve it. Another essential teaching is about resilience. Jonah went through a period of intense isolation and reflection in the belly of the fish, which strengthened him and prepared him for his mission. Similarly, we all go through difficult times that test us. It is in these moments that we can find the inner strength to overcome adversities and grow as individuals. The practice of resilience helps us see difficulties as opportunities for learning and transformation. Faith and prayer also play a crucial role in Jonah's story. When faced with situations beyond our control, turning to spirituality can offer us comfort and guidance. Jonah's prayer in the belly of the fish is an example of how, even in the darkest moments, we can seek a deeper connection with the divine. This act of faith can be a source of hope and inspiration to move forward, even when the path seems uncertain. Jonah's story also reminds us of the importance of repentance and forgiveness. The inhabitants of Nineveh, upon hearing Jonah's message, repented of their evil ways, showing that it is always possible to change and seek forgiveness. Whether in our personal relationships or in the way we treat ourselves, the ability to recognize mistakes and seek redemption is fundamental to building a fuller and more harmonious life. Finally, Jonah's new perspective on life after his experience inspires us to embrace second chances. We all make mistakes, but the true measure of a person lies in how they recover and learn from those mistakes. Jonah's story encourages us to live according to our purposes and trust that even in the most challenging situations, there is always an opportunity to be reborn and start anew with more wisdom and strength.